Enough is enough. Today, we're ending the negative narrative on Dominican Republic forever. I'm first going to dismantle a trolley comment I got on my YouTube channel, and then I'm going to review the 5 reels I've been sent the most by all of you in order of least to most, which will show you absolutely that this spot, the Dominican Republic, is the hot spot in the world today. Let's get going. What's up, everybody? My name's Jamie Gruber. I quit my high-paying job in the States in 2021 and moved with my family here to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic in 2022. And on this channel, I share the experience of doing exactly that. One of the things that I didn't really recognize until I moved here, and I've been married into a Dominican family, my wife's Dominican, for 15 years now. But I never noticed this sort of negative overtone of news and language about the Dominican Republic, but most shockingly to me is who it comes from, which is Dominican Americans. A weird thing in my mind where a lot of Dominican Americans see any progress in DR as bad because it somehow hurts the locals. And while I understand that, kind of, asking progress to stop so that God knows what should happen is just illogical, silly, and a bit wokish, to be honest with you. Human beings are ambitious, and where there's opportunity to grow, people will grow. Just like a weed will find its way to the surface or a root digs deep to grow the tree up, DR is growing. It is what it is. There will be haves and have-nots as a result of growth like anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else in the world. But to say there shouldn't be a train line there shouldn't be this, there shouldn't be that, they should put all the money into this. Hey, look, some people want to drink midday on a Tuesday. They don't want to have progress, and entitlements and handing money out, that ain't the way either. Not sure if you've seen what happened in the United States with this, but not the best. Now let's get to the trolley comment. This person, who will remain nameless, I am Dominican, and you don't understand the whole picture. The whole picture. Is that a picture of a hole? I don't know what that is. You are watching human trafficking. The immigration officials in DR have a business model. Let in anyone for 7K Dominican pesos, but after that, they caught those same people and send it back to their country and ask for the same amount of money again, plus transportation. I'm pure Dominican blood, and I feel bad for Haitian. They don't deserve to be treated that way. I have to admit, when I first moved here and I would have that kind of comment like, hey, I'm Dominican, you're not, I'd be like, oh, no. I'll step aside, you're Dominican. And I can never, ever know what it is to be truly Dominican. That's my wife, my kids, sure, not me. That said, what I've learned and have built confidence in the last couple of years is I live in the Dominican. Betting this guy doesn't. In fact, you know who you are. If you live here, I'll make a whole video praising everything about you. If you can show me where you live in the Dominican, but I guarantee you live up in the United States or Canada or Europe. But anyway, this point on human trafficking that he's making is like, that's all DR is about. And if you don't believe me, check out another comment he left. Human trafficking in DR, that is the real truth. It's happening right now, and every real Dominicano knows the situation. First off, if only you agree with him, are you a real Dominican? So all of you that don't feel the same exact way as this person, you're not real Dominican. Secondly, let's talk truth. First, human trafficking, bad. Nobody watching this right now would disagree with that. It's a terrible, terrible crime. One of the most disgusting crimes in the history of humanity. Slavery, human trafficking, terrible. But now, let's go to the Global Organized Crime Index on human trafficking. This website ranks human trafficking on a scale of 1 to 9, 9 being the worst, 1 being the best. And the Dominican Republic slots in right here at 6.5. Right there with countries like Ecuador, Hungary, Sri Lanka, and others. But it only takes about one swipe of the mouse to scroll down here to see, the United States is at a 6. I don't know. You tell me. Is it better? Yes, 6 is less than 6.5. But you see what I mean about the narrative here? The narrative is like, oh my God, the Dominican Republic is the worst human trafficking hub in the world. 6.5 isn't good. It should be 0. I want it to be 0. But 6 in the most developed country, the most prosperous nation in the world, that ain't good. Not even close. I mean, look, Zimbabwe, Bolivia, Jamaica have better scores on human trafficking than the United States does. I actually interviewed the guy that produced The Sound of Freedom. His name is Paul Hutchinson on my podcast, Tribe of Millionaires. And here's something he said that was really interesting to me on human trafficking. What's the more mainstream? Because I think child trafficking, human trafficking, it may feel like it's an over there problem, especially for Americans. But can you get into maybe where people are a little bit blind to the idea that child trafficking is happening right in their backyard?
Absolutely. The United States is the #1 producer and consumer of child pornography in the world, and is the #1 consumer of traveling for these horrible things to other third world countries. However, in the United States, there are hundreds of thousands of children who are being trafficked.
Sad. Human trafficking, bad. But unless you're a fake Dominican, you have to agree that the Dominican Republic is the major problem with human trafficking in this world. Go away, please. All right, trolley message negative about DR, dismantled. Check. Now let me show you what people are saying that actually spend time here. I'm blessed to have a decent following over on Instagram and a growing following here on YouTube. In fact, be sure to subscribe. Many, 75% or 70% that are watching are not subscribed. I would love to have you subscribe, follow along on this journey, and hopefully it adds value to you. But over on IG, I get DMs by the hundreds per day, and sometimes I get the same thing over and over again, which to me is an indication. Let me save this because this is important to people, and let me see how I use this content to inform mine going forward. Well, what I'm going to do for you is share 5 different reels in order of least sent to most sent, but a lot sent of all of them to me from others that demonstrates what people that spend time here feel about the country. Let's start with number 5 from my guy, my buddy, Jonah Gomez, handle @JGivesBack.
This is a message to all the Dominican Americans who are constantly criticizing the Dominican Republic because of its poverty, yet live in communities in the United States with higher poverty levels than that in the Dominican Republic. Let me explain. All right, so the obvious 21.5% of the Dominican population lives below the poverty line. That we already know. Now, let's compare that to the neighborhoods where Dominicans migrate to see what the poverty levels are there. First off, Washington Heights with a poverty rate of 20%. The Bronx, 30%, with the South Bronx 36.3%, and Alapata, I probably said it wrong, in Florida with over 36%. So if you live in any of these neighborhoods and you commented negatively on any of my posts, understand that poverty exists everywhere, and the neighborhoods where a lot of Dominicans migrate to unfortunately have similar or even higher levels of poverty than in Dominican Republic.
The key here is trends. If you look at the poverty level in the United States, it's fairly flat, maybe slightly down. But culturally, many agree, me included, many watching this channel, that culturally there's a decline. Cost of everything is going up, policies are shifting ridiculously left, and there's a fear for safety, both in school, out of school, in society in general. I've shared before, but 34% of Americans today would move to another country if they had the choice, a record high number in a study by Monmouth University. Trend here, poverty is halved in the last 10 years, from 40 to 20%. There is a middle class here, and there is a lot of money here as well. Dominican money, not just money coming in from outside or gringo money or whatever, Dominican money, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But Jonah said it right, there's poverty everywhere. Nowhere, not here, not New York, not the States, not anywhere, is perfect. There are things in the States that are more perfect than DR. There are things in DR that are more perfect than the US, and so on. Just a matter of what aligns with you, what aligns with where you and your family are going, where do you feel safest, where do you feel it's best to raise your kids. And more people are choosing places like the Dominican Republic lately, and I'll be honest, I truly hope the tide turns in the United States. It's my home. Number 4 comes from a creator up on the North Shore of the Dominican Republic with 3 reasons he and his family moved to DR. Let's check it out.
Are you curious about relocating to the DR? Here are the top 3 reasons why our family chose the Dominican Republic. The number 1 reason is you get a lot more for less. In 2019, we sold our average family detached home and we're able to make this beautiful upgrade. And number 2 is education. Every parent can relate understanding how important their child's education is to them. So when we took a look at the Dominican Republic, we found a private school with smaller classes, better resources, a great community, and our children absolutely love it. And number 3 is the outdoors, because everyone knows how addicting these things can be. With a warm climate all year round, it makes it easy for your family to spend time swimming, hiking, surfing, kiting, you name it. Dominican Republic has it all.
I'll admit I still spend too much time on my phone. The Wi-Fi is just too good down here. I'm going to touch on education in a bit because he made a really cool point there, and I'll share a similar experience. But bang for the buck. Now, where he is, North Shore, you can get a lot more for the money as far as buying. Where I am in Punta Cana, it's going to be more aligned with a lot of places in the United States prices. Depends on where you're coming from. New York, Miami, cheaper here. If you're living in the Midwest, more expensive here, in Punta Cana specifically. But again, the dollar just travels further. The services you get, the cost of labor, all of that, it just travels further. But those are three incredible reasons why this family moved to the Dominican Republic. And when you could differentiate Jonah, who lives in Santo Domingo, and this person who lives up on the North Shore, it's two different parts of the island. I'm sick of this like,
oh, you're in a bubble in Punta Cana and you don't know what it's like in the rest of the country. Like,
look, yes, Punta Cana is a bubble. Parts of Santo Domingo are a bubble. Cabarete is a bubble. Las Terrenas is a bubble. Puerto Plata is a bubble. Everything's a bubble. Where you live is a bubble. I bought a house in a bubble in Michigan. I didn't want to live in Detroit. I bought a house in a bubble. We all live in bubbles. But two different bubbles just reported on just now. Let's go to number 3.
I'm in the Dominican Republic right now in a city called Mocha, and I'm outside of this Shell gas station. This Shell gas station is very unique. You're probably thinking, oh, it's just a gas station, and the mini mart here just serves convenience store snacks and things of that nature. But you're completely wrong. Inside of this little mart right here is actually a type of day club. People are in there. It's almost like a sports bar. There's no convenience store snacks. There's nothing like that. So I'm gonna take you inside. It's like 2 p.m. right now, and I'm gonna show you what they do all day, every day here at the gas stations. The spot to go to in town. And I would never think that a Shell gas station was the spot to hang out at all day, but as you can see, he wasn't lying. If you ever find yourself in Mocha, Dominican Republic, make a little stop at the gas station and have a drink with all the local people. It's a good time.
I've actually been to that gas station. I love how they ended it with bachata, kind of slowing it down a little bit. But I've been to that gas station. My kids call it the speaker.
remember that place we went with the speaker?
We stopped there on the way back from Cabarete, I think it was. And he's right, it is loud. Now, this guy is half Dominican. I've watched some of his other content. He's got great stuff that he talks about. I just love his energy. Got a great vibe. But you see in the 3 people we've seen so far, Jonah's Dominican. But it ain't like Gringo Land telling you how great it is here in the Dominican Republic. By the way, that dude dancing at 2 p.m., just, it's a vibe, baby.
Yeah, boy.
All right, let's go to number 2. And for this one, you're going to see a similar face.
I have a lot of educators who are really close friends of mine back home in Ontario, and they always share with me their frustration. Large class sizes, different learning abilities. Here, where our children go, is the International School of Sosua. It's one of the better schools that they have on the entire island, and it's accredited pretty much worldwide. But they run with class sizes of maximum 16 students. The teacher itself has a lot of assistants. For example, they will have a Spanish teacher, sociales teacher, a gym teacher, a teacher's assistant, and that's all of the support system that one individual class receives. They just have so much more resources and available help to work with your child and whatever level that they're at to make sure that they're getting to where they need to be, and in most of the cases in this school, a lot further advanced.
So this is a point that I have to make. I make this point on private versus public education here. Private education here, I've found to be top notch, at least at the age our kids are, which are going to be 9 soon and 6. To his point, the school my kids go to, which I do not share the name of, has between 12 and 16 kids in each classroom with a full-time teacher, along with a teacher's assistant, a sociales and Spanish teacher as well. And both of those subjects are taught in Spanish. Most of the rest is taught in English. But in addition to those folks, there's the school administrator, the owner of the school. There's a lot of support. And even for our oldest, who struggled a little bit with integrating going to a new school, they had a psychologist come in and work with him and help him get over some social anxiety. When we went in for the parent-teacher conference the first time, there was the teacher, the teacher's assistant, and the psychologist. And they just worked with us. It wasn't a finger pointing. It wasn't a wagging at us. Nor did they feel pressure from the administration or the board to do a certain thing like you might at a public school in the States. They just helped us. The next time I went back, thankfully, he got past whatever he was dealing with, and all we did was have the one-on-one with the teacher, and then the teacher's aide came in to just sort of add her perspective. But a ton of support. People that ask me all the time, like, how's the education? I'm afraid to move my kids. Like, you are silly. No offense, but you are silly if you can afford the private education down here, and I've done other videos on the cost of that, not to consider education here for your kids. Private education. Just saying it again. All right. The number one, I've actually gotten 3 different reels sent to me in mass on this guy. He's got a really cool channel. I'm sure many of you have seen him, but we're going to check out the number 1 reel that I've been sent.
The Dominican Republic has been experiencing rapid development over the past few years and is one of the fastest growing economies in the Western Hemisphere. My last video about DR has shown that most Dominicans recognize this growth and they're excited about it. But there was a vocal minority in the comments, consisting mostly of people who do not actually live on the island, but are eager to share their negative opinions about the country. The rapid rise.
They're not here. They don't see what the progress is doing all the way around. Are there people being priced out? Absolutely. Are there people doing really well? Absolutely. You don't design policy for the exception. You design policy for growth, and that's what's happening in the Dominican Republic.
The rapid rise of Dominican Republic is undeniable, and I'll prove it right now. Let's look at the national income per capita adjusted for purchasing power parity. According to the World Bank, in the first half of 2010s, Dominican income per capita was just half of Uruguayan. Today, DR's numbers are at 85%, and DR is actually on track to surpass Uruguay in the year 2028. Dominican manufacturing output is growing at 19% each year, quickly turning the country into a rising manufacturing power. What about inequality? Well, we can actually measure that using the Gini coefficient. The lower the score, the more equal the country is. DR has become dramatically more equal over the past 10 years, lowering the Gini coefficient by 18%, which resulted in DR now being more equal than the United States of America. The Dominican Republic had one of the fastest post-pandemic comebacks in the world and then continued growing at an even faster rate over the past few years. There's a lot of optimism, new businesses, and you can see it in real time. The growth is undeniable.
That reel, in and of itself, if you needed a stat or a line of stats, even if you didn't understand what the hell he just said, if you needed any evidence to, for once and for all, crush the hate, you just heard it from the flying CMO. That's 4 different creators, all with exposure to the Dominican, plus me, plus guys like Abroad with Jay, my guy, shouting you out, and many others that are not saying, hey, this is heaven, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing to improve upon, it's the greatest thing, oh my God, yay, yay, yay. No one's saying that. And I say this to anybody who needs me to be negative. It's like, go create a DR Sucks YouTube channel and get all the subscribers you want of all these people like, yeah, it sucks down here. Gringos don't understand. Even though it's not the gringos saying anything bad about it. It's Dominicans that don't live here anymore. It's the diaspora. That's a word I learned recently. I feel so proud of myself. It means essentially like people that are from here that live somewhere else. So I guess I'm like US diaspora. Anyway, create a hate channel if you need it. But for those of us who are here and looking at it like,
holy crap, like, all right, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling a certain way about this place.
And then we get these comments that correct us because we are, or I am not Dominican. Correct me because I am not Dominican. Then they try that with Jonah, and Jonah's like, well, I am Dominican. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, but you're not a real Dominican because you don't say things the same way I do. It is crazy. So again, looking to end the hate, end this narrative about the Dominican being this terrible place and we don't understand. We do understand. We're here. I'm here. I know what's a pain in the ass here. I know what makes my wife annoyed because she's Dominican and has to deal with the things in Spanish like the bank and the local government, which it is a pain in the ass. But the flip side of that, the flip side of it is all the things you just heard about: education, safety, opportunity, growth, weather. What more do I have to say? You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I got to share another one of this guy's because it was just so damn good. Check this out.
When I say that a lot of Dominicans in the Dominican Republic are thriving, some of the people in the comments said that, well, it's only if you're like a money launderer, drug dealer, or corrupt politician.
Oh, I hear that all the time. Oh, all that money is illegal money. Bullshit. Check this out.
And let me ask you a question. How do you think your kids are going to get out of poverty and do their homework and study and thrive and progress if you tell them that the only way to thrive and to make money is to be a criminal, especially if it's not true? When I talk about Dominicans thriving in this country, I'm not talking about people that are not legitimate. You just haven't been here in a long time. This country is thriving, and this is my personal experience, okay? This is not about like expats or people that are like investing from outside. It's Dominicans. I say this all the time when people say, man, you're colonizing, you're taking over the island. It's like, man, I'm doing a bad job because I'm paying my Dominican landlord a lot of money every month. I'm paying a Dominican-owned electric company. I'm paying a Dominican-owned business to get coffee or food or whatever. I'm paying 18%
eat beef. I always say it wrong. Somebody can correct me on that. 18% to a business in the Dominican that's going to pay the Dominican government. So, like, I'm a terrible colonizer because I haven't taken over yet, and I haven't even tried. I mean, should have run for president, I guess. But his point, you haven't been here in a long time. Most of you watching, you get it. You understand this perspective. You have been here. You've spent time here. You talk to relatives. You hear this stuff. But I just want to make sure if you're out there saying,
well, I think it's positive. There's this gringo dude saying it seems pretty positive. There's a dude with a better beard, better hair than this gringo dude saying it's positive. The CMO, flying CMO. There's Jonah. There's Abroad with Jay. There's the dude on the North Shore. But my cousin who lives in the Bronx says,
no, it's crap, it's garbage, it's corrupt. All the gringos are moving down there.
Just stop listening to them.
Dominicans in the Dominican Republic that are building businesses, that are making a lot of money, and more importantly, enjoying their life. And that's been my experience in this country. And it has nothing to do with criminal activity. We're talking about people that build businesses, get jobs, get educated, and rise out of poverty into middle class, upper middle class, and upper class. And there's a lot of people like that in the Dominican Republic, and those people don't want to leave. The activities that you're talking about are not just specific to this country. They're everywhere, okay? And this country in particular does not have that problem like some other countries. You can keep talking nonsense, but at the same time, people here continue doing business. They continue investing. They continue improving their education. They continue building partnerships and building their cities. And that's just the reality.
I got to get that guy on my podcast. Let me know if you want that on the comments, because I love what he said. I love a good clapback. I love when a creator says, I'm reading your stupidity and let me set the record straight. That's what I'm trying to do with this video. So how'd I do? Did we end the hate? Can we just be done with it? Or can some people just not get past the idea that this country actually is finally making progress after I know it's been decades of trying and struggle? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe. And if you want to learn more about education, I'll drop that video right here for you because I promised to earlier. See you on the next one, everybody.